Hi and Assalamualaikum. We are from Group M. We will be presenting the Trial of Chicago 7. Our chosen movie is the Trial of the Chicago 7 that is released on 2020 and directed by Aaron Sorkin. This movie is based on true story. So the storyline. There are 8 defendants: Abby Hoffman, Jerry Rubin, David Elanger, Tom Hayden, Rennie Davis, John Froines, Lee Weiner, and Bobby Seale were among the leaders of anti-war movement that lead their own organization. Their intention is to held peaceful demonstration at National Democratic Convention to show their stand on refusing war, especially war between Vietnam and USA. But what happened is not according to their plan because the demonstration has turned into a riot. All of them are accused under the Riot Act 1968 that made it a crime for a person to cross state to incite a riot. So the climax, the defense decided to put Ramsey Clark, who was the Attorney General during the riot taken place. The judge, who is biased, Julius Hoffman, ordered jurors to stay out of the court during the testimony. Ramsey Clark, with his knowledge during his administration, testified that it was the cop who started the riots, not the defendants. The judge again refused to let the jurors know about the testimony that can be the evidence for the defendants to be proven innocence. On the night of the demonstration, Tom Hayden accidentally provoked the crowd with the word, "If blood is gonna flow, then let it flow all over the city," after saw his friend Rennie Davis got hit by the cops. So in the end, on February 18, 1970, each of the 7 defendants are acquitted of conspiracy. They were sentenced to 5 years in prison and fined 5,000 each. At the end of the trial, despite the judge's instruction and objection, Tom Hayden uses the closing statement to name the 4,752 soldiers who were killed in the Vietnam War since the trial began. This act prompts many in the court to stand and cheer.
Assalamualaikum and hi, so my name is Munazza bint Rosli and I'll be explaining about the case analysis in the trial of the Chicago 7. So the case analysis consists of parties involved, facts of the case, judge decision, and also the ground of the judgment. So I'll start with the parties involved first. So the case has brought 8 defendants with different organizations and also background, and there are 4 organizations that has been brought to the courtroom, which are the Students for a Democratic Society, which led by Tom Hayden and Rennie Davis, and the next one we have the Youth International Party, or known as UPs, led by Abby Hoffman and Jerry Rubin, and the next one we have the National Mobilization Committee to End the War in Vietnam, which led by David Dellinger, and lastly we have the Black Panther Society, which led by Bobby Seale. And the other defendants were John Froines and Lee Warner, were the masterminds behind the dirty bombs. So moving on to the facts of the case, so 5 out of 8 defendants, namely Tom Hayden, Rennie Davis, Jerry Rubin, Abby Hoffman, and also David Derringer were in contact by using telephones months before the convention even started, that put them an act of planning a conspiracy beforehand. And there were 2 riots happened, which was the first one happened at the Grand Park, and it was triggered by the arrestment of Tom Hayden, and the following one, which was the worse than the first one, happened at the Conrad Hilton Hotel nearby to the convention itself. Then the main riot happened on the night of 28th of August, which was initially the protesters and their leaders had a gathering at the Grand Park. Then an unfortunate incident involving one of the defendants, Rennie Davis, got beaten by the police using their bayonet that Tom Hayden lost his conscience by as he saw an unlawful act of the police towards his friend. And as a result, Tom Hayden shouted to the crowds to confront the police and ignore all the dangers that might come after, and the catching phrase was, "If our blood is going to flow, let it flow all over the city," and it led the massive crowd marching to the National Convention. But luckily, the National Guard was blocking all the ways to the convention, but somehow Abby Hoffman, Jerry Rubin, Tom Hayden, and 11 others found an unguarded bridge and successfully fleeing from the police. Then moving on to the judge decision, Judge Julius Hoffman found Abby Hoffman, Jerry Rubin, Rennie Davis, Tom Hayden, and David Danger were guilty for incitement to riot and violence, and they were sentenced to 5 years each in the federal prison. whereas John Farnes and Lee Reiner were acquitted from all the charges and Mobicil was spirited from the trial by declaring a mistrial happened. And lastly, the ground of the judgment. So Judge Julius Hoffman decided that the defendants were charged by referring to the United States Code under the Section 2101 of Title 18, or known as the Red Brown Law, or can be called as Anti-Riot Act, which prevents activists and protesters to have a conspiracy to cross the state lines by inciting a riot or violence. And the defendants were proved to be starting the riot by referring to the Tom Hayden's voice tape that triggers the crowd to confront the police, and that results into a terrible riot happened.
3.0 Types of law involved in Malaysia context. 3.1 Related laws in the film. In the movie of the trial of Chicago 7, the 8 defendants were prosecuted under the Anti-Riot Clause of Article 10 of the Rights Act of 1968, which is 18 United States Code Section 2101 Riot Act 1968. Whoever travel in interstate or foreign commerce or use any facility of interstate or foreign commerce, including but not limited to the mail, telegraph, telephone, radio, or television with intent. First, to incite a riot. Second, to organize, promote a riot. Third, to commit any act of violence in furtherance of a riot. Fourth, to act or abet any person in inciting a riot or committing any act of violence in furtherance of a riot. The act of them indictments alleged kind of three situations. First, they conspire to cause the portal to instigate riot, teach the manufacture of incendiary device, and obstruct the legal duties of law enforcement official. Second, David Dillinger, Rennie Davis, Tom Hayden, Abby Hoffman, Jerry Rubin, and Bobby Seale caused the line to incite riot. Third, Joe Fornis and Lee Wiener instruct others to make and use tear gas. All of them were penalized to 5 years in imprisonment and fined $5,000 each. 3.2 Related laws in Malaysia legal system context. In Malaysia, the case will fall into Act 15 Sedition Act 1948. 4.1 Any person who does or intend to do or make any preparation to do or conspire with any person to do any act which has or which will, if done, have a seditious tendency, or utter any seditious word. The person who commit with this act shall be guilty of an offence which is fine not exceeding 5,000 ringgit or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 5 years or more. This is because the defendant had organized instigate their followers to cross the state line and incite riot. Under the Sedition Act, it is a criminal utter and convey seditious word to others. The defendant convey their seditious message through phone call and speeches to the public. Their seditious message includes spreading conspiracy to make people feel hatred towards the government.
Terms and definition. Contempt of court. It is an act of being rude or disrespectful to the judge and court in the courtroom. Next is perjury, the crime of intentionally lying after being duly sworn by a notary public, court clerk, or other official. Sequestration, the act of a judge citing an order that a jury or witness be sequestered or kept apart during a trial. Next is sua sponte, judge order made without any request by any party to the case, such as no request from defendants or prosecutor. Next is voir dire. Voir dire is used to determine if any juror is biased or cannot deal with the issue with justice. It is a process which attorneys to choose jurors.
Good afternoon to Doctor and all my fellow friends. Today I'm here to present about the type and the functions of the court. The case in the movie The Trial of Chicago 7 is brought to the district court, since we don't have district court in Malaysian's court system. So the case will be brought to the magistrate court if it happened in Malaysia. In Malaysia, the magistrate court is divided into two types, which are first-class magistrate court and second-class magistrate court. So, what is the functions of the second-class magistrate court? Firstly, the second-class magistrate court has a civil jurisdiction where the amount of the debt cannot more than 3,000 ringgit. Secondly, the second-class magistrate court can hear a criminal case where the maximum term of imprisonment does not more than 1 year or punishment with a fine only. Lastly, the judge of the second-class magistrate court can pass the sentence which does not exceed 6 months of imprisonment or a fine which does not exceed 1,000 ringgit or both. Next, what is the functions of the first-class magistrate court? Firstly, the first-class magistrate court has a civil jurisdiction where the amount in dispute does not more than 25,000 ringgit. Secondly, the first-class magistrate court can hear a criminal case where punishable with imprisonment does not exceed 10 years or a fine only, or the crime case under section 392 and 457 of the Penal Code. Lastly, the judge of the first-class magistrate court can pass the sentence which does not exceed 5 years of imprisonment or a maximum fine of 10,000 ringgit, wiping out to 12 strokes or both. In the end of the movie, the judge Julius Hoffman passes the sentence of imprisonment for 5 years to Abbie Hoffman, Jerry Rubin, Tom Hayden, David Dillinger, and Rennie Davis in federal prison. To sum up, everyone should have to know about the legal system as much as possible of their own country to avoid from breaking the law in any activity they involve. Therefore, the well-being and prosperity of the citizen can be maintained if everyone follows the law of their own country. That's all from me. Thank you.